Did the Vikings make a mistake in letting Sam Darnold go? Yes. Yes, they did. But let me lay things out, not necessarily for you, Evan, but for the listeners, for everybody. Just give like a 10,000-foot view of this whole situation, quarterback plan, since Kirk Cousins tore his Achilles. Let's go all the way back, 2023? Kirk Cousins tears his Achilles, and it turns out the Vikings opted not to offer him a multi-year contract. Then they set in motion this plan where they were going to take their high first-round draft pick. At the time, it was number 11. And 23, I think they got from the Texans. And I think their plan was to leverage those picks and, at least in the first round of that year, 2024, come away with a first-round quarterback. There were a handful. There ended up being 6 guys drafted in the first round that year. All of them have shown flashes of being good / great.
That was one of the better quarterback drafts
so far
in recent history.
Mm-hmm. So their plan, once they let Kirk Cousins walk, was take their first-round pick, whatever their highest one ended up being after trades or whatever, take that, draft a quarterback, and tie that quarterback to Kwesi and KOC's future as Vikings coach, executive, whatever you want to call it. As a part of that plan, they also decided, hey, we need a bridge quarterback. We need somebody who can hold the reins if, this rookie that we draft in the first round is not ready by week 1. So they went out and they got Sam Darnold, who was a backup out of the 49ers after one season in San Francisco. And they gave him $10 million to be their bridge quarterback, to be their, QB1 until the franchise, highest drafted quarterback in Vikings history is ready to be QB1. So the plan was, let Sam Darnold hold that starter spot until who they ended up drafting was J.J. McCarthy, until he was ready to take the reins, whether that was an open competition in camp or OTAs or some point in the season if Sam Darnold threw too many interceptions, whatever. The plan was Sam with JJ as QB2 and then JJ taking over whenever he was ready. Well, JJ and Sam had a few weeks of training camp, and then JJ looked really well in his first preseason game, and then the next day, turns out he had season-ending knee surgery because of a meniscus tear. So they're rolling with Sam Darnold for all of 2024, and he balled out. So then they're in a tough spot where do they go with the hot hand, the guy that just balled out for a whole season, even though he had an iffy last couple of games for you in the last, at the end of the season and lost you the playoffs pretty much? Or do you stick with the plan and let J.J. McCarthy take the reins and be the QB of the future? The Vikings could have given Sam Darnold $100+ million for 3 or 4 years and abandoned J.J. McCarthy, or kind of given him the Jordan Love treatment, let him sit for a few years and then maybe take over, or maybe you just wasted that pick. Ultimately, the Vikings went with the plan. Sounds like they did try to offer Sam Darnold a 1 or 2 year contract for decent money, but Sam smartly took longer term, more money with a really good team in Seattle, and it's turning into a Super Bowl berth. Maybe a Super Bowl championship. We don't know. We won't know for a few weeks. And the Vikings, the only reason we're even talking about this is because J.J. McCarthy came out and looked not awesome. He showed flashes of being okay. Flashes of, there were a few games. Week 1 of the season, he was Offensive Player of the Week. He 9 flash, and he came out, and he looked like, okay, maybe we got something. And then this season was kind of a wash. But that's the only reason we're even talking about this. If J.J. McCarthy had come out and thrown 4,000 yards, 20 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions, we're like, sure, Sam Darnold would have been nice to keep, but we got a guy. That's not the case. So that's where we are now. Did the Vikings make a mistake in letting Sam Darnold go? Hindsight, yes. They absolutely made a mistake. From what we know right now, they should have stopped at nothing to give Sam Darnold all the money and all the years, and you wouldn't have gotten Will Fries, and maybe you'd have to get rid of Van Ginkel and trade away Grenard, and maybe that affects your ability to pay Justin Jefferson or Christian Darrisaw, but you'd have to figure out the money, but you'd stick with Sam Darnold. You got your quarterback, and maybe you get to the Super Bowl. I don't know. But either way, I think the Vikings were smart. It just sucks that it hasn't worked out yet. End of rant.
That was good. I mean, that was a really succinct summary of basically like the whole path that we've walked as Vikings fans since starting this podcast. I mean, obviously we've been fans for much longer than that, but I mean, that's the road we've walked since we've had these microphones in our face, documenting our takes and our opinions on